Have you ever looked at the woman you love and thought, what happened to her? Why does she look at me like I'm not enough anymore? That moment hits harder than a punch to the face. One day she's soft, affectionate, laughing at your jokes. The next day she's cold, distant, picking fights over nothing. And you're left standing there, confused, desperate, replaying everything in your head, wondering where it all went wrong. This is the pain most men never see coming. You think you've done everything right. You gave her love, security, stability. You sacrificed. You showed up. You made her your world. And still, she shifts. She pulls away. She tests you in ways that feel unfair, unreasonable, even cruel. But here's the brutal truth. It's not random. It's not bad timing. It's not even a conscious choice. This moment is wired deep inside her biology. A survival program every woman carries, waiting in the shadows until the day it wakes up. And when it does, your entire relationship flips upside down. Most men fail here. They chase, they explain, they beg. They give her everything, thinking it will bring her back, when in reality, it's the very thing that makes her lose respect. This is not just a fight. It's not just a bad mood. It's the test. The moment that decides whether she will see you as the strong man she cannot live without, or the weak man she was wrong to trust. And brother, if you don't know what's happening, you've already lost. One of the cruelest truths about relationships is this: the danger doesn't strike when you expect it. It doesn't show up on the first date or in the early months when everything feels electric. No, it sneaks in later, after you've settled, after you think the storms are over, after you've convinced yourself you've built something solid. That's when it hits. At first, everything feels good. You think you've found a rhythm. The arguments are small. The passion is there. The comfort feels safe. You start to breathe easier. You let your guard down. You believe you've made it. And then, out of nowhere, she changes. Her words cut sharper. Her patience is gone. She looks at you differently. The smallest things become battles. Your peaceful life suddenly feels like a war zone. Most men freeze in that moment. They're confused. They wonder if she's fallen out of love. They blame themselves, or worse, they blame her. They can't understand why the sweet, loving woman they knew now seems like someone else entirely. But here's the secret almost no man realizes. This shift isn't random. It's not a mood swing. It's not because of something you did yesterday or forgot last week. This is deeper. It's primal. It's her subconscious waking up with one brutal question. Who is this man I've chosen? Is he truly strong, or have I been fooled? That question is the beginning of every test. And make no mistake, the tests will come. She won't announce them. She won't even know she's giving them. But her behavior will shift. She will push. She will provoke. She will pull away. She'll do it not to destroy the relationship, but because her biology demands an answer. Is the man she's with really the man she can trust? Or is he another pretender, another weak man, playing strong in the beginning, only to collapse the moment things get comfortable? This is why the change feels so shocking. It's not a gradual decline. It's a switch. One day you feel secure. The next day, she's questioning everything without ever saying it out loud. And here's the part that hurts the most. If you don't recognize what's happening, you're already behind. Because to her subconscious, every reaction you give, every word you say, every choice you make becomes data. Data she uses to decide which box you belong in. Strong or weak, leader or follower, Man she can respect, or man she can't. The truth is, this sudden shift is inevitable. Every man will face it. And the ones who survive aren't the ones who explain, negotiate, or beg. They're the ones who understand what's really happening and respond from strength before it's too late. Why doesn't this switch happen right away? Why does it hit months or even years after you've been together? The answer is simple. In the beginning, you were a mystery. You had your own life, your own focus, your own priorities. You weren't predictable. You weren't safe. You had a frame, and she was drawn into it. But time changes the game. As you get comfortable, you start to compromise. You make her the center of your life. You give up pieces of yourself to keep the peace. Slowly, without even realizing it, you trade independence for attachment. And that's when her subconscious starts asking questions. Is this man truly strong? Or is he just another pretender? Here's the brutal truth women won't say out loud. In her subconscious, there are only two types of men: strong or weak, dominant or submissive, leaders or followers. There is no middle ground. No, sometimes strong, sometimes not. Every move you make gets judged against that scale. A strong man sets boundaries. He knows who he is, and he doesn't apologize for it. He doesn't need approval to make decisions. He doesn't fear conflict, emotions, or even losing her. His life is complete, with or without her in it. And because of that, when she tests him, he doesn't even notice. He passes simply by being himself. The weak man is the opposite. He craves her approval like oxygen. He walks on eggshells to avoid upsetting her. He bends his values and lowers his standards just to keep the relationship intact. He tells himself this is love, that sacrifice equals devotion, that keeping her happy is his job. But each time he gives in, each time he puts her emotions above his integrity, he's silently proving her worst suspicion. He's weak. And once she senses weakness, the respect starts to slip. Attraction fades. Her tests increase. She pushes harder, not because she's cruel, but because her subconscious demands clarity. Can he stand firm, or will he fold? This is the line every man gets forced to walk. There's no way around it. Sooner or later, she will put you into one of two boxes. And the moment she places you in the weak box, the relationship starts dying, even if it looks alive on the surface. The question is not whether you'll be tested. You will. The only question is whether you'll hold your frame when it happens, or collapse and show her she was wrong to trust you. I once watched this play out with a man I knew well. In the first year of his marriage, he was still himself. He hit the gym 5 days a week. He spent time with his friends. He pursued his hobbies. His wife complained here and there, but he held his ground calmly. He'd say, "I need this for my well-being," and that was that. But slowly, the pressure grew. Her complaints got louder, more emotional. "You care more about the gym than me. Your friends are more important than our marriage." Instead of standing firm, he began to compromise. First, he cut back from 5 gym days to 3, then to 2. Eventually, only when she was busy. Within 2 years, he had gained 30 pounds, lost touch with his closest friends, and barely recognized himself. His wife didn't resent the weight gain. She resented what it meant. He had stopped being strong. He had surrendered his frame. In her subconscious, the man she once respected had been reclassified from strong to weak. And here's where the pain stings most. The more he attached himself to her, the weaker he appeared. Society tells men, put her first. Show her how much you love her. Sacrifice everything for her. But think back to when she was most drawn to you. Were you needy? Were you reorganizing your life around her moods? No. You were independent. You had options. You could take her or leave her. That was what made you attractive. Now, you can't imagine life without her. You need her validation to feel good. Her mood controls your mood. Her happiness has become more important than your own. You think that's love. But to her subconscious, it's weakness. And weakness smells like fear. Once she senses it, the testing intensifies. It doesn't start with big explosions. It begins with little challenges, small comments, subtle withdrawals of affection, a little drama over nothing. But each one is a check, a probe, a question. Is this man still strong, or has he already folded? Most men miss it until it's too late. They explain, they justify, they give in. Each reaction confirms what she already fears, that the man she thought was unshakable has become predictable, safe, and weak. And once she sees you that way, the respect drains. Attraction fades. The spiral begins. And make no mistake, once the spiral starts, it only moves one direction: down. Here's what most men don't understand. When a woman starts testing you, it isn't conscious. She doesn't wake up and think, "Today I'll push him and see if he cracks." No, it's deeper than thought. It's instinct. It's her biology running on autopilot, wired into her DNA through thousands of years of evolution. Back in human history, survival depended on choosing a strong mate. A weak man meant danger, struggle, and often death for her and her children. Because of that, women developed a subconscious system, an inner radar that constantly scans for strength or weakness in the man they're with. That radar never shuts off. Even today, in modern relationships, the programming remains. When her subconscious senses weakness, it flips into what I call check mode. She'll start creating little challenges. She might question a decision you made. She might pick a fight over something meaningless. She might withhold affection just to see if you'll chase. She might push a boundary just to check if it's real. None of this is planned, but to her inner mind, every move is data, and she's always watching, always measuring. Do you hold your ground or fold? Do you stay calm or do you get emotional? Do you remain centered or let her pull you into chaos? Most men don't even realize these are tests. They think they're just dealing with small disagreements, minor drama, or random mood swings. So they respond with logic. They argue. They explain. They try to smooth things over. But here's the trap. Logic is not what she's testing. The real test is about your frame. Will you keep it, or will you give it up? When you explain, when you defend yourself, when you desperately try to fix her emotions, you're stepping into her frame instead of holding your own. And to her subconscious, that signals weakness. This is why so many relationships collapse without men ever knowing why. They think they're being good partners, being understanding, being the bigger person. But each time they bend, each time they compromise just to keep peace, they're failing tests they never knew existed. And once enough of those failures stack up, attraction dies. Testing isn't about cruelty. It's not about malice. It's about survival coding that's older than history. And the truth every man must face is this: the tests will never completely stop. They may get smaller when you prove yourself strong, but they'll always be there. The question is whether you recognize them for what they are, or let them pull you into a spiral you can't escape. This is where most men fall into the trap. She creates drama, and you rush to solve it. You think if you just explain better, If you just make her understand, the storm will pass. But what you don't realize is the drama isn't the real problem. The drama is the test. The only question is, will you hold your frame, or will you get sucked into her chaos? Here's how the cycle usually plays out. She provokes. You give in to keep the peace. She loses respect and pulls away. Maybe she goes to her mother's. Maybe she leans on friends. Maybe she just shuts down emotionally. You panic. You chase. You apologize. You promise to do better. She comes back, but not because you won her over. She comes back because the test isn't finished. She still needs to see how much control she really has. And then the cycle repeats. Each time you bend a little more. Each time you get weaker, more desperate, more controllable. I watched this destroy a friend of mine, a successful businessman, confident in every area of life except at home. His wife would pick fights, threaten to leave, pack her bags. He would panic. He'd send flowers, buy jewelry, beg her to stay. She always came back, but the fights kept returning. After 3 years of this, he was a shell of himself. He had panic attacks. He couldn't make simple decisions without her approval. The man who once commanded boardrooms was now terrified to pick what to watch on TV without checking with her first. And in the end, she left him anyway. After all the sacrifices, after all the begging, she walked away for a personal trainer at her gym. The guy made a fraction of his income, but he had something my friend had lost: frame. The trainer didn't rearrange his life for her. He didn't panic when she got upset. He didn't seek her approval. And her subconscious locked onto that strength, because that's what it had been searching for all along. This is why men keep failing. They think they can talk their way out, or they respond with fear, apologizing before she even asks. Or they overcompensate, gifts, affection, attention, trying to buy her respect. But the harder they try, the weaker they appear. It's like bleeding in shark-infested waters and wondering why you're being attacked. The truth is brutal. Every time you give in just to calm her, you lose a piece of her respect you'll never get back. And once enough respect is gone, love can't survive. So what's the way out? Here's what most men don't want to hear. You have to show teeth. Not rage, not abuse, not games, but strength. Boundaries that are real, not negotiable. A presence that says without words, I won't compromise who I am, just to keep you happy. When she tests you, don't fall into the trap of explaining, negotiating, or pleading. You don't need to convince her. You don't need to debate her. You simply refuse to participate in behavior that crosses your line. She starts drama. You don't match her energy. You don't yell back. You don't beg. You stay calm, centered, indifferent. You say, when you're ready to have a real conversation, I'm here. Until then, I've got things to do. And then you actually go do them. She threatens to leave. You don't panic. You don't beg. You let her choose. If that's what you want, I won't stop you. And you mean it, not as a bluff, not as manipulation, but as truth. Because your self-respect matters more than clinging to someone who doesn't respect you. She crosses a boundary. There are consequences. Not punishment, not revenge, just natural consequences. She disrespects you in public. You leave. She makes plans without considering you. You make your own. She withholds affection. You don't chase. You simply shift your focus elsewhere. Here's where most men mess it up. They think strength means shutting down. They turn cold, distant, emotionless. They build walls and call it being alpha. But that's not strength. That's fear dressed in a mask. Real strength isn't about pretending not to care. It's about caring deeply without being controlled by that care. A needy man gives love because he needs something back. Sex, validation, approval. A whole man gives love because he chooses to, without expectation. A needy man avoids conflict because he's terrified of losing her. A whole man addresses conflict calmly because resolution matters, but outcomes don't scare him. That's the real shift. You stop letting fear dictate your choices. You stop living for her approval. You stop seeing her moods as your responsibility. You become whole, complete. And when that happens, something incredible occurs. The tests don't vanish, but they shrink. They lose their power, because her subconscious now has its answer. You are strong. Here's the part most men can't bear to face. If you've been failing these tests for years, if she has already filed you away and her subconscious is weak, it may be too late. Once a woman sees you through that lens, almost nothing can change it. You can try to act strong. You can try to set new boundaries. But to her, it looks like a performance. She doesn't believe it. She remembers the begging, the tears, the compromises you made just to keep her calm. And that memory never fades. I've seen men transform themselves, build their bodies back, sharpen their minds, regain their confidence. And yet, their wives still look at them with contempt. Why? Because the weakness image was burned too deep. She saw him surrender his identity. She saw him sacrifice his integrity. And once she's seen it, it's like trying to unsee a nightmare. It never leaves. This is why the only real solution is prevention. You must hold your frame from day one. You must never let attachment turn into neediness. Never let your standards slip. Never let yourself believe her happiness is more important than your strength. Because once she categorizes you as weak, the relationship might keep going on the surface, but underneath, it's already dead. Now, here's another hard truth. The tests never fully stop. Even the strongest men will face them. The difference is, for strong men, the tests are tiny bumps in the road. For weak men, every test is an earthquake that shakes the relationship apart. Strong men don't even notice half the time. Weak men are destroyed by all of them. And here's where many men confuse the lesson. Strength is not about threats or ultimatums. That's weakness pretending to be power. Real strength doesn't say, "If you do this, I'll leave." Real strength simply acts. No drama, no games, just quiet consequences. Because boundaries aren't about controlling her, they're about respecting yourself. So remember this, every woman tests her man, not because she hates him, not because she wants to destroy him, but because she needs to know. It's biological, it's inevitable. The only question is whether you pass or fail. You can keep being the man who chases, apologizes, and bends until he breaks. Or you can be the man whose frame is unshakable, whose strength is obvious, whose respect for himself makes her respect him more. The paradox is simple. When you no longer need her, that's when she needs you most. When you're not afraid to lose her, she becomes afraid to lose you. The tests are coming. They're coming whether you're ready or not. The only question is, will you stand strong or collapse? Because the man she truly desires isn't someone new you have to become. It's the man you were in the beginning, before fear, before neediness, before you gave your power away. That man is still inside you. And the sooner you bring him back, the sooner everything changes. If this message hit you hard, it's because deep down you know it's true. You felt the tests. You felt the respect slipping. And you know you can't afford to ignore it any longer. That's why I created this space, for men who refuse to stay weak, who are ready to reclaim their strength and take back their frame. So here's what I want you to do right now. Hit subscribe. Drop a comment about your own experience. Share this with a brother who needs to hear it before it's too late. Don't just sit there and nod. Take action. Because the men who step up, who learn, who grow, those are the men women can't walk away from. This is your wake-up call. Don't waste it.